Real Madrid Hub, your source for Real Madrid news. I am your host, Eric Rivera. And of course, the news today is all about that crazy game against Levante this weekend, where unfortunately Real Madrid lost 2 valuable points away from home in a game that looked like it was done and dusted in the first half with a 1-0 scoreline, which was, I think, a little bit generous to Levante. And everyone thought things were going to be pretty easy. And then, of course, the second half came, and we know the craziness that ensued. If you did not catch the game, I recommend you catch it just so you get caught up with that before coming here. But of course, the game ended 3-3 in what was a back and forth affair in which really defensive problems were what cost us those 2 points. Essentially, in the news today, Defensa Central Ruben Gomez reports about the comments made by Emilio Butragueño, of course, star forward for Real Madrid in the late 80s, early 90s. But of course, as well, he is now the director of institutional relations for Real Madrid. And so he was asked if Madrid deserved to win. He was interviewed after the game, and he said, yes, the team dominated the game. We were better in the first half, but we came up short in the result in the sense that we were only leading by 1-0. And then in the second half, they scored 2 goals. We have personality. We are able to tie. They score again, and then we fight to get the win. We tie again. He said we had a good attitude and we deserved the 3 points. What do you think? They asked him, what do you think? Did we lose a point? Did we gain a point or did we lose 2? And he said, well, there are circumstances of the game. These can happen. There's no I'm not trying to single anyone out. It is just a shame. Those 2 points that we could not get, we should have taken back to Madrid, but we have not been able to. Asked about the goals from Vinicius, he says he made 2 extraordinary goals. The first, a great pass from Casemiro, and he finished it with class. And the second is a game of very, very good high level with a lot of creativity. We are very happy with him. He's in great condition, and he's going to help us very much. He had a magnificent game. We are happy with him, and he is a high category player. Asked about, of course, the news regarding Mbappe, he says that what we can say is that we have a great team. Ancelotti has already said that we can fight for everything, and that we don't talk about players that belong to Madrid. Standard response there, as per usual. As right now, it seems that the Mbappe news has calmed down. I, for one, who am always, I would say, I'm always pretty optimistic, and even I feel like it's getting further and further away. But you never know. There is always hope. Things can turn on a dime, as we've seen in this transfer window. Things have been crazy. You never know what can happen. So I do not doubt that Florentino has something up his sleeve, that he may personally call, the Emir Al-Taini, who is the owner of PSG, and try to figure something out to get Mbappe over. But it can all happen at the last minute, or it cannot happen. But I would say, from a personal note, I'm kind of very happy with the team we have right now. I mean, there are things that are definitely need to be ironed out. There are things that I think would help us. Definitely, obviously, I think right now scoring doesn't seem to be an issue as much as it did last season. But the defense is definitely going to be a problem if these lack of concentrations continue. So that's pretty much it on that regard. I would love to have Mbappe on our team, but at this point, it seems like as much as we need Mbappe, we also do need more, and not so much defensive talent. I would say it's defensive stability. The experience and just the experience and the leadership that players like Varane and Sergio Ramos brought to the team are something that is very, very much in short supply currently, with the likes of Militao, even Mendy. Alaba is just getting used to the team. I think Nacho could definitely be a leader for our back line, but still, it's going to be difficult for them to maintain defensive stability if there's these sort of lapses in concentration, which is what we saw in this game versus Levante. Ancelotti after the game talked about Vinicius and, kind of left it up in the air about whether Vinicius was going to be a starter for the next game. Vinicius has already scored 3 goals in 2 games. He has definitely come off the bench each time to be somewhat of a solid talent. Not somewhat of. He has been a savior in the game against Levante, but it's at the same time, a solid replacement for Eden Hazard in the second half of the game against Alaves. Asked whether or not, he is a starter, Ancelotti basically said, that he's very happy with how Vinicius is progressing, that he likes the fact that he's scoring. In a lot of ways, he was trying to say that he feels like Vinicius still can get better, still can improve. Essentially, kind of alluding to the fact that he's probably not going to be a starter, but that he will, of course, be someone that will be constantly getting minutes in the second half and come on as a sub. At this point, it seems a lot like Ancelotti is kind of saying, he did say in the press conference that a lot of times that the same team that starts the game is not going to be the team that finishes, and based on how the team is going is when he makes those decisions. But also that Vinicius being playing so well lately is definitely, of course, he's going to take into consideration the fact that he's scoring, and of course, that those things are made the way during the week and how he sees that the team is training. So, those are some of the statements he made there. But he said that really where Real Madrid suffered was not in the goal scoring, it was in the defense. He wasn't as I wouldn't say he was as positive as Butragueño was, which is actually pretty good. I believe that, as a coach, Ancelotti, so far I've liked the way he's spoken. He is definitely not somebody who you don't see him celebrate very much or anything like that. He's very, very subdued. And in this case, it didn't look like he was happy with the result. He said, we've lost 2 points. He said, it's a crazy game. We've controlled it. We could not get, we got the best after getting the first half under control. We got into the second half very, very loose. We've given away 2 points after having a really solid first half, and defensively, we simply have to get better. He said that it's difficult to explain the start of the second half. That he told the players that even having the game well controlled, a small little detail can always change the game. They're going to come out hungrier, they're going to come out angry, and we might come out a little bit more laid back. So he goes, that's kind of what happened. They came out stronger, they came out hungrier, and we came out fearful. He said we came out fearful, and then we leave with a bad taste in our mouth. Because after how we played in the first part, we had to have won this game. We have to be more attentive in the defensive half. We have very, very good quality in the defense, but it is the commitment defensively, it is the concentration defensively where what we have to work on. He talks about a lot in this, in the sense that he said the defensive commitment, how do you fix that, is what he was asked. He said this is a problem of sacrifice and concentration, not of quality. So Ancelotti does believe we have the quality in defense, but it was a lack of concentration and sacrifice, which is very much what we saw there in the game. The goals seem to be, easily given away. They scored a very good second goal from Campaña, from Levante, but it was a really it was a lack of concentration in many of the goals for them to get scored on so easily there. He goes, we have a problem there in lack of concentration. We have to have more sacrifice. We have to be more focused. So really, he also was asked about Isco, because Isco had a fantastic game, and he said the lineup that starts the game is never going to be the one that ends the game. So here he's very different from Zinedine Zidane. Zidane was criticized a lot for not using many times his subs or subbing on players very late. In this case, Ancelotti is very different. He said that I want to use all 5 changes because I could get fresh people in the game. Now this could be good and bad because you can also break, essentially, like if there's good chemistry, you can break the team's chemistry if you put in 5 players too quickly. But it is important to get fresh legs if you are feeling that some of the players are not, performing as well. So, he said that Isco, Bale, and Hazard all played a good game, and he just changed them to have more speed and essentially get fresher legs, which in the end, paid off because Vinicius came in the game and changed the dynamic completely, and we were able to score 2 goals. Where we lapsed was definitely defensively, and that was an issue. Vinicius even came out to comment in the end after the game and said that, asked about, he said we have to be more concentrated. That was what the headline read, and this is from as.com or Diario As, basically. They asked him, how would you define what happened? He says, a game with many goals, a lot of space, but we have to leave here with good sensations. We have to keep concentrated so that we don't, receive goals like the ones that we received. What happened after the break, he was asked. He said it's very complicated. Start of the season, there's always a little bit, it's always a little bit more difficult to kind of get going. We should have started the second half the same way we started against Alaves. He goes, do you think that 1 point is good enough? And he goes, for Madrid, 1 point is never good enough. We have to keep working to get all 3 points each game. So I mean, that's a really good attitude from Vinicius. I'm really liking what we're seeing from Vinicius, attitude-wise, as well as I'm really liking what we're seeing in the sense of him being on the field. He looks he looks stronger, he looks fitter, he looks more informed, he looks way more determined and passionate, and essentially his decision making has definitely made an impact. He has definitely looked more mature, which is very important. And that was only, I feel like in many regards, as much as sometimes I have criticized him on my own podcast, and sometimes there's been a lot of criticisms on him, his decision making and all of that kind of thing, and his finishing, of course. We have to remember that he's still a young guy, and sometimes it takes some of them to mature, not only physically but also mentally, where they're more confident, where they feel like they start making better decisions, where there's not so much when they break free, when they're on a run and they're on these one-on-one situations, or they're on a breakaway. It's very difficult. I'm pretty sure for many players there's 100 things that can go on through your head. Which way should I go? Which way should I kick the ball? How should I finish this? And then the nervousness that comes as you get closer to the goalkeeper and he starts coming out and cutting off your angles. Of course, your mentality has to be quicker. It has to be more definitive, and you can't have any doubts. And it seems like Vinicius is starting to doubt less, which is very, very good news for us, and I think a very dangerous thing for many other teams that face Madrid if Vinicius continues in this form for the rest of the season. So he goes, how do the goals feel? And he said, essentially, we're training a lot to get away from our defenders. Casemiro gave me, put a good ball, basically passed me a really good ball for the goal, and in the second I put it where I needed to put it. I am still training to help the team. He says that he's very happy to start in La Liga, that he keeps working from the same day, and he's been working this as hard as he has been since the day he arrived at Real Madrid, and that is not going to change. He is working on his finishing on all aspects, not just on finishing. He says when they asked him if he was working on his finishing, he said, I'm working on all of the aspects of my game, not just finishing. I work on all aspects because I want to get to a game like this and continue to help the team. So that is the news essentially from all of the post-game of everything that happened after the Levante game. An absolutely crazy game, a game where there was really defined not only by Vinicius's, star turn in the sense of coming on and saving the game from essentially being a loss for Real Madrid and losing 3 points away from home, but also was marked, unfortunately, by just defensive lapses in concentration. Really, the goals there, many of them could have been avoided. It seems like they caught us sleeping in the second half, and 2 goals hit us in quick succession. And I would say the third one was a bit unlucky, but also could have been a lack of concentration there as well, because it essentially bounces off Alaba, who didn't, notice it was coming. I guess it seems like he couldn't see that it was going to come and hit him, or somebody was going to get to it before him. So it essentially bounces off of him and falls for the Levante player. But that is what happened. That's how we ended up getting scored on 3 times. Lapses in judgment, lapses in concentration when there should have been it, and but in the final third, we were able to get the goals that we needed, to secure the point. And really, in the end, I think we could have won this game because they were playing with 10 men. They had no changes left. The goalkeeper gets kicked out. Aitor Fernandez gets kicked out, and essentially they're playing with Rubén Besos, a center back, in the goal. And there were no shots on goal during the entire time that Rubén Besos was in goal. That was the opportune time to just pepper it with shots. It might have not been the best way to do things, but you have to put balls in the box, whether it's trying to take shots from afar or putting in crosses into the box so somebody can head the ball, because you have a player that essentially doesn't know how to come out and try to, if there is a cross, doesn't know how to handle crosses, doesn't know, how to position himself well in the goal as a goalkeeper. You need to do as much as you can to test him. And that was not what we saw there. So that's my own, thoughts there after the game from Levante. But we leave 2 points there, and a lot of questions will be asked, of course, of the defense. But this is a team that now can score goals, so that is the positive there. But we cannot have these lapses. We need Nacho, we need Militao, we need Alaba, and Carvajal coming on made a huge difference. Of course, we need our back line to be, sturdy. We cannot have these lapses in concentration, especially against teams that are higher up the table than Levante. We're facing Betis next week, and Betis is not a team to be taken lightly ever, of course. That's where we're currently at. That's the news I have right now for Real Madrid Hub, guys. Thank you for listening, as always, and make sure you subscribe to Real Madrid Hub. Just hit that subscribe button, and also hit that notification button so you get all the news that JOTA and I will be bringing you during the week and during the weekend, of course. So that's what I have here for Real Madrid Hub. Thank you for listening.